Three, two, and one. Welcome everybody to the newest episode of GamingForFools podcast with my co-host Eric. Today we are doing a 2023 introspection of The Last of Us Part 2 by Naughty Dog, and we have four takes for you guys. We're going to be talking about gameplay, story, controversy / spicy takes, and then actually the fifth take would be the final verdict. So I'm gonna be transparent with you guys real quick. This part of the episode got deleted accidentally.
Don't let him know.
Shit, fuck, you guys kind of know. And we're gonna retape it real quick because we were only missing out like in the first 5 minutes. And so I'm gonna run down the enemy types, and once I get to the bloater, we're done. So in The Last of Us Part 2, we have the typical infected that remains the same from the first game. A lot of the stuff in the first game carries over to this game and mostly stays the same, for better or for worse. And so that includes the infected, that includes the bloater, that includes the clickers. Those are all the same. But in this game, they added an enemy called the Stalker, which plays like a stealthy zombie, which is very interesting. There is a bloater, which is an enemy that sprays out AoE damage.
Mm-hmm.
And there is other zombies that pretty much play exactly the same, like in The Last of Us 1. Eric, anything to add before we teleport back in time?
No, not much. I like the stalkers. Honestly, I thought they were a really great addition to the game for sure. I'm definitely happy with with some of the characters that they added into some of the enemy they added into the game for sure.
All right, you heard it here first, Eric. Folks, Eric, shit, I'm tired. Well, cut that out. Again, all right, they made another AoE damage thing, and they're tougher, more. They suck up more damage. Kind of like a mini boss fight thing. It's fine. Nothing too crazy. And then finally, there was a boss in the medical base
Oh yeah, they
section,
had a
which was probably one of my favorite sections in the game.
mm.
Definitely that section, the medical base section, was giving me Resident Evil vibes. I don't know about
They
you.
definitely added variety to the enemies in this one compared to Last of Us 1, because definitely one of the worst parts about Last of Us 1 was there were like no variety to like to what you was like have to fight or whatever. Um it felt like you were just fighting like clickers and then the regular like zombies. There may be like one bloater,
Right.
but there wasn't that much variety, and that was like a big complaint of people bad like for Last of Us 1. And they were able to fix that for Last of Us 2.
Yeah, somewhat. They did have like some variations. Like they had like a stronger stalker. They had things like that. But I don't know. I don't. For me, it wasn't enough on the infected side to warrant
Yeah.
like such a huge change. But I do appreciate that Naughty Dog definitely worked on the stealth elements, and they made it a viable option for the entire game. Unless it wasn't a set piece or something like that. But the stealth in the game is excellent. There's like skill trees. I don't know if there were skill trees in the last game.
No, there was.
There was. So this game has that as well. And for me, I focused on stealth, survival, and crafting. And
At
since
least
go ahead.
like no, I was gonna say like I'm not sure. Maybe you agree. I'm pretty sure. Like I think this is a true statement, but they kept the game the same exact way, right? Like gameplay wise. Like I
Oh,
don't think they added anything like new that was like a whole new mechanic to like work around with. I think it was
yeah.
just the exact game like gameplay wise. If you remember, well, like if you play Last of Us 1, you kind of like just jumped into Last of Us 2, and because they didn't change that much.
I, were you always able to grab a guy and like put a gun to his head and walk around a little
Yeah,
bit?
Last of Us 1, yeah.
Okay. Prone is new to Last of Us 2 for sure.
You able to what?
to go prone, like all the way on your belly, essentially, like
Uh,
crawl.
I can't remember that for Last
Yeah,
of
I'm
Us One.
pretty sure
Maybe.
that's new to the game for sure. Like you can go under
Mm,
tables, cars, things like that.
mm,
That's new. Crafting, of course, in both games. I'm trying to think of what's
crafting both.
new gameplay wise. Weapon customization, right? That's new.
No,
Oh, really?
like upgrading your
Like
weapon. You're talking
adding
about?
barrels and like,
No, that was the Last of Us One.
okay. Hmm. So yeah, so it seems like
I'm
the
telling you, yeah. That was definitely like something that people pointed out a lot. There was that. Uh, like they definitely kept the gameplay wise. Like for the most part, it was just the same thing. They didn't add that much. They didn't add a new mechanic, which surprised me. But I mean, the gameplay was still fun. So
yeah.
no complaints.
Regardless, the going just the sound design, the level design, the difficulty, and just the scarcity of items and weapons, it still made it for a really intense playthrough. Like I was always going slow and just having to go through like with a like a methodical like mentality because or else you would just fucking die, you know.
Mm.
And really, I think the game's difficulty stems from less so the enemies, but just like numbers. Like definitely the numbers is like if there's too many enemies like that, you're gonna fucking die.
Ah,
As
yeah,
opposed to
for
like,
sure.
oh no, it's a bloater. Like if you got the right gear, it's just a fucking cakewalk. Like I beat the game on hard mode, and I went again, like I said, mostly stealth oriented crafting survival, and I'll still be even when I got caught, I will still be able to fucking mow down everything. Because due
Mm.
to playing stealth, you're using a very minimal amount of materials because you're not using bullets, you're not using much of anything. And then since I have crafting available, I can craft more, carry more resources. So I always had an abundance of material, so it kind of made the game really fucking easy at some points. Up
Because you have
until
all the ammo.
I have all the ammo, all the material, up until fucking Abby, one of Abby's sections, we'll get to later in the story portion. But gameplay, even though it hasn't really been pushed forward too much, it still fucking plays great. I love how you can go prone. Weapons feel uh, slow and methodical, but it feels I don't know how to describe it. It doesn't feel like a Resident Evil 7 or like a Resident Evil game where like it feels clunky
Yeah.
on purpose. It feels slow and what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know how to describe it, but like it feels weighted. It feels heavy. The guns.
There's some good sections in the game. Like you have to run from like a horde of zombies, and it's like yeah, I feel like Naughty Dog does a good like job of like making you feel like oh fuck, I gotta run.
Yeah.
Like the camera like starts like fucking like shaking and shit. Like it's really good. Like I think Naughty Dog does like a good job of like doing that.
Naughty Dog is really good at creating tension, at using visual markers, like that mission where Abby essentially had to just follow the sun, and the sun was just your compass, essentially. You know, just go in that direction of the sun, and if you lose, you get lost. Just look up and find the sun, and that's the direction you need to be heading. It's almost
Mm.
doing like an Alan Wake thing, and it's just so clever the level design and especially with some of the Abbey section, just the use of verticality in that hotel section where you're going through Lev and like it's just dilapidated and it's great.
Hmm.
It's really fun. But okay, so let's move on from the infected. Let's talk about the humans. What do you think about the humans in Last of Us 2?
Uh, I mean, I've always liked that how you could like Well, okay. First of all, I will say, I for like human wise, there are instances where I'm like how did you see me? Like
Hmm.
there's just situations where I feel like there's no way that you had got a perfect angle for me like on that side that you were able to spot me. There were definitely times where I'm just like this fucking no way. You have like fucking 40/40 vision to even have like been able to see me. Like that doesn't even make sense. But no, I've always liked that. While I wish there was more, the game had more about had like more within the infected.
Right.
I did like the humans, and I did like how you could like manipulate them, and how like you can trick them with like maybe throwing a bottle or a brick on like somewhere to like confuse them or whatever. I've always thought that was really cool. Um, and well, what else? I like kind of like what you said before, like being able to hold them hostage or whatever to like scare the other scare the other humans. Yeah, I've always enjoyed that, but um. Yeah, I thought did a pretty good job there.
I thought they did some things I've never really seen in a game before. I think maybe one other game I played, which I don't remember the name of right now, but they did a thing where they gave essentially every NPC that you
Oh,
fought a name.
wait. I forgot to say. I'm pretty sure it was like this for The Last of Us. But god damn, this game is fucking gory. Like, like when you shoot someone with like a shotty, like you see like their leg explode or whatever, and then
Oh
they're
yeah,
crying in pain. It's like the game is mad gory.
oh yeah, yeah. This one is not. It's not for the weak. Like it's you're gonna see. There's some scenes in this game that for me, I'm like desensitized. It's like with me and pornography, I can whatever doesn't mean shit to me. But like for other people who are getting into gaming or you're not into like horror stuff, it's just gonna really like get you in your taint.
Then you take.
Gonna feel it in your taint.
But yeah, the game like gore wise, it's definitely pretty like mad gore. Eh?
Oh yeah. And so, like I was saying, the game adds a name to every NPC that you fight. So they go like, if you kill a lady, a guy will go like, "No, Anna, no." To every murder.
Yeah, they give everybody a name.
And I thought that was a great touch. The intent was to make you feel a feeling of empathy towards the actions that you were doing. And this is pretty evident with a certain NPC in the game that I call the Vita Girl. She's a Asian woman who's playing the Vita on duty, and because of it, she gets her fucking throat sliced. And then she appears a couple more times via flashbacks, and you're like, oh yeah, I killed her very violently. And again, it's a device that is used to elicit empathy or a feeling of regret, guilt. And this is a theme, one of the many themes that Naughty Dog is trying to relay in this game. Um, but I love stuff like that because it's just most games killing is just mindless. It's just Call of Duty, follow the guy, kill. Uncharted, like kill 1,500 guys. Don't even mention it. Do a dad joke, and good night, guys. End of the game. All happily ever after. We got a bag of gold. See ya. This is the opposite of that. You in this game, you very much are Naughty Dog makes sure that you're responsible and you're cognizant of the choices you make in this game. At least in like murdering and shit. Um,
I
that was a really nice touch, I think.
I kind of disagree in that, but I want to talk
Tell?
about it later.
Sure,
I want to talk about it later once you get to the story part.
sure. And so fighting the enemies is relatively, it's pretty tough. They flank, they are unpredictable. With the exception of those guys who are like run at you in a straight line with like a hammer or something, those are always really bizarre in video games, unless like they're the cycle type.
Hmm.
But the fighting the enemies were always really fun. I love the stealth sections in this game. Excellent, super fun. Not easy to stealth. I found a weird thing where the detection ring. I don't know if it was just me, but I felt like it wasn't accurate. So it was always I don't know. I could never really find where they were at if I didn't know where they were at. If that makes sense.
Are you talking about like aiming, or what do you mean?
So like when you get detected, there's like that weird ring that pops up.
Oh yeah, like it's telling you like you're about to get seen. Or...
Yeah, exactly. Like, was that marker accurate for you, or did it feel off or right?
Are you talking about like
The white marker, the circular marker that like if he's in front of you, he's gonna curve like north. If he's like behind
Oh,
you,
it's somewhat for the most part it was accurate. There was definitely there was some times where it was like Like it was definitely off, but
Mm,
for the most part, at least for me, it seemed accurate.
okay. So fighting the humans is pretty fun. See, what else can we touch on the gameplay wise?
Uh, I'm not sure, just because they definitely like. I felt like they definitely kept the game intact from like Last of Us One. They didn't change much. As much as I expected for Last of Us Two.
They added the tall grass for stealthing, which is again just making stealth a viable option, which is what
Yeah,
I
I guess
took.
for environment, I guess. Yeah.
Um, all right, so gameplay's pretty much been
Yeah, gameplay's pretty much intact about what you think it is. It's they definitely kept how Last of
but
Us One was intact for the most part.
that said, it's very intense. It's very considered. You can only really carry two magazines of any given weapon that you own. You can only carry three of every single resource. And so the way I recommend people play the game is to build craft as much as you can when you can, so you can just continue to cycle through resources, so you can keep collecting, building, and just have as many resources as you readily available when you need them. And the way I played the game, I always had an abundance, which again it kind of made it easy, even though I was playing it hard, with a couple sections. But the game has a system in which if you're lacking in a certain material, the game will sense this and it'll give you the material that you need to build that thing that you use. So, for example, like I used a lot of Molotovs, I used a lot of shivs, and I would just constantly be getting the
Yeah, you'd
scissors.
find it at the correct time that you needed it. Yeah.
So it's really good at like giving you your like crumbs of like materials. It didn't. I never found an instance where like, oh, here's a boss fight. Here's a crazy amount of ammo and stuff. That never happened. It didn't do like a Call of Duty Resident Evil thing. It always just gave you crumbs, which is again, it made you play the game differently than like your typical COD. And also, there's no hipfire in this game. None.
Oh yeah, you gotta aim down the sights.
You
Yeah.
have to aim down. That's again, it's like I said, it's considered and it's weighty. It's a little slower. You reload by tapping R3, I think. No, oh no, R2, which is really weird, but you get used to it. The controls are from the get go are weird, but once you get used to it, it's fine. Like it doesn't really flow as good as like Call of Duty, Apex, Overwatch, but it does its job.
Hmm.
Um, for whatever reason, the game hadn't gotten an official PS5 patch. It's got a locked 60 frames, which it stays true to, but there's no haptic feedback. There's no resume activity. So I kind of wish, it's almost, we're going on 3 years that this game has been out for since 2020, and it's hasn't really gotten official PS5 support. I mean, that would have been nice to see.
Don't say the word, Brian.
What word?
That you're gonna ask like, when's the remake of this game?
When's the fucking remake, dude? Where's the
Stop,
rematch? I mean, this game needs a remastered. Please,
fucking
Sony,
stop,
consider it $70. Please, I'll pay for it.
stop.
So, is there anything you want to add for the gameplay before we move on?
No, not really. Like I said, they definitely kept it for the most part. I want to get to the story section.
That about sums it up. Weapons pretty much remain the same. Revolver, typical pistol, rifle,
Mhm.
shoddy. Nothing crazy. Bows. Like the weapon loadout is again like you said, Eric, pretty much one to what we saw in
Last of Us
Last
One,
of Us
yeah.
One. I think with the exception of a flamethrower, I think that's the only thing that's new.
Mm.
But yeah, moving on. Story. Let's get into the story time.
I well, spoilers if you haven't noticed already.
Yes,
Um,
we're spoiling the whole
Definitely
thing.
a spoiler section. Um,
This is intended so when you finish the
I'll
game and you want to get some like outside thoughts and opinions and perspectives, this is the video to watch when you're done with the game. If you're not done
okay.
with the game, subscribe, like, but they come back.
Okay, so quick synopsis of like the story of the game. Uh, Basically, to summarize it real quick, uh, Joel, which was the main character of the first game, uh, gets killed very early into the game by a girl named Abby, and Ellie has to watch Joel die. I think like Joel dies like maybe like an hour into the
Hour
game or
hour
whatever.
two max. You know.
Yeah, an hour or two. He dies early into the game. Him and Tommy get ambushed. The girl tells him like, "Do you know who I am?" He's like, "What the fuck are you? I don't know who you are." And as you play more into the game, you realize that the girl was the daughter of the doctor that was trying to um what was it like take away like Ellie's blood? Was it her blood?
She what he wanted to do was to essentially, I think, do some kind of like brain surgery,
It might have been for her brain, yeah,
brain
but
that to develop a vaccine.
yeah, it was basically to develop a vaccine that in turn would save humanity, and it would stop the infected and cure everybody. So this whole infection would just stop. And obviously Joel didn't want her to die, so he killed all the doctors, killed everybody in the hospital to like save Ellie. And this was the daughter of the doctor that got shot by Joel. So she was able to find Joel, finally get revenge, kill Joel, and the game turned into Ellie wanting to find Abby to kill her. For revenge for killing Joel. Um, and as you play more into the game, you find out more about like what is Abby's backstory, what's her friends, and it's a game about revenge of like is revenge good, is revenge bad, um, and the consequences of revenge or whatever. Um, I will not lie. I was actually not a fan of this game. Um, I, there was certain instances of this game that I strongly disliked. I don't think it's like bad or whatever. I don't think it's as good as Last of Us One, and there's definitely issues that I have with the game story wise that I heavily disliked by the end of it. But um, I don't want to talk about my score or whatever yet on like what I think about it, but I will say I at least by the end of the story I did not feel like it was as good as Last of Us One for sure. And there's a lot of like what's the word I'm thinking for? There was just
Narrative.
a lot of things that happened in the game that's just like very questionable as to like why exactly did I do this? Why did this happen? Um, I feel like there were just a lot of characters change motivations, like in certain scenes, and then there was character deaths that would happen in the game that they would die. The character would feel emotion about like what happened, and then completely forget about what happened to the character in like the next scene, which really threw me off. But yeah, I want to hear your perspective about the story or all that.
So before I like give like a score or anything, I'm gonna go through like before we talk about like what's good, what we think is good and bad about the game. I want to just give like a quick rundown of the story. So if I were to ask you, Eric, what is this game about thematically?
The
It,
game is about from what I've played and from what I've understood, the game is about revenge and how revenge is bad and how revenge doesn't solve much of anything. It's like you can try and get revenge, but it's like it'll just keep the cycle going.
exactly.
Mm.
If you ask me, this game is about revenge. It's about cycles. It's about empathy. It's about love, family, guilt, um, and then ultimately forgiveness, acceptance, and and connection as well. But so at the beginning of the story, it pretty much takes place right after the events of one. And so uh, Joel and Tommy and Ellie move to this new place called Jackson, which we've heard about in the first game. And it's kind of like a well-oiled machine. It's like a town with their own currency, their own bank, schools, farm, etc. It's a well-oiled machine. And Joel tells Tommy like, "Hey, look, like this is what I did. I killed the only chance we had at a vaccine to save what essentially is my daughter, because he couldn't really cope with the idea of losing another daughter figure in his life for a second time.
Yeah.
And so this makes Joel an anti-hero. He's not a hero. A lot of people might play the first game and be like, "Oh, he's a hero." No,
No, by the end of it, he's definitely like
he
an anti-hero
he's
for
an
sure.
anti-hero. He's not a good guy. He's a fucking murderer.
Like I get, obviously this is definitely like it asks you the bigger question of like wait, give me a sec. It gives you the question about like would you save someone for would you save one to but kill others, or would you save everyone else but have to kill someone that you like love or care about? It asks you that question
Right.
of like what would you do? And I mean, he didn't want to lose another loved one, so he'd rather sacrifice millions to save one.
Yep.
Which, obviously the caring thing to do, but by the end of it, at the end of it, you definitely killed like a millions of people. You ruined the world by
Yeah.
making that choice. But it was obviously because he cared about Ellie a lot.
Oh yeah. Um, and so that's basically the setup. He's relaying the story to Tommy. Tommy, he's a good brother. He doesn't immediately, shame him or berate him. He just listens and he says, "I'm gonna take this to the grave." And and so in this point of the relationship, Joel and Ellie have a lot of tension because Ellie isn't a dumb girl. She senses Joel's bullshit and his lies. She goes back at some point to the hospital and she finds tapes and they're talking about a vaccine and the potential of Ellie and how she can play a pivotal role in that. And so she starts to sense his bullshit and it creates a tension because he's withholding the
It,
truth and
it, it it doesn't help that Joel told her by the end of it, he told her like, "Oh, don't worry." They said there's apparently there's like millions of you, like or like not millions, but like, and there's more of you that they could use for like the vaccine or whatever. And then
mm-hmm.
like later on, she's like, "What happened? Like, you said that there's more of me, but like, like no vaccine has been created. So like, I mean, if there's more of me, something would have been done already. Like nothing's been done yet." So that definitely would like she was just catching on to like his lies of like like that they weren't able to do anything like with her or whatever.
Exactly. And then the straw that broke the camel's back was when she returned to the hospital, found a tape that a medic, a nurse wrote, saying that if by some miracle they were to find another person that was immune, the only person that could develop the vaccine is dead. So there's no way it's happening. And so the only chance he had was blown because of Joel and because of his trauma. And so this creates like the division between them, and where we start in the story is the day after a party in which Ellie is, she's interested in this woman and she's fresh off a relationship. She's looking for a rebound. Ellie comes in, a couple drinks in, and they start dancing, grabbing ass, and then they're fucking just swapping saliva in the middle of the fucking dance floor at a family event. And that kind of gives a bad vibe. Honestly, it's kind of weird. But then this guy, the bar owner, comes in and he's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing? Like, just it's just the thing we need. Another couple dikes." He says it like a really like what do you like a how would you phrase it, like a bigoted thing? And then starts to get heated. becomes an argument,
Mm.
verbal confrontation, and then Joel steps in. He's like, "Yo," he pushes him out of the way. He's like, "Hey, what are you trying to do, man?" And then Ellie's ego gets hurt, because she mentally gets put back into like the place of a kid because the parent steps in for her, and then she gets mad at him because of that, and then again another division, and so the scene that we see, the first interaction in the game, present time, was really awkward. Joel's body language. Ellie, she's kind of staring back at her book. She can tell she wants to go back into that. Joel's trying his hardest to find some kind of connection, some kind of common ground to have a conversation that isn't just pleasantries. And and they somehow he shows her guitar, and that becomes like the connection between them two. Like she finds interest in that, and so that
Mm.
becomes a thing. Like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna start teaching you, and you're gonna start playing. We're gonna get you some strings, some guitars, and we'll play. And so that's like the glue to their relationship, the guitar. And if you remember, the first shot in the game is the guitar. Last shot in the game is the
Yeah.
guitar. So that is the commonality between Joel and Ellie, even after Joel dies. And so we move forward in the story. Next couple of weeks, they start playing, and then what happens? It's hard to relay because the story is so fragmented. So the fast forward, and they kind of talked, and they're like, "Hey, look," Joel says, "I, I, like, I'm really sorry about this. Like, I shouldn't have made this choice for you. Like, this is like such an important detail. I stole that choice from you. I shouldn't have done that." And he's like, "Could you try to make it up? Could you forgive me for this?" And she says, "Yeah, I can try." And then Joel's like, "Hey, how about we do like a movie night?" And she's like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so essentially, what that conversation was leading up to is like a repair of the relationship,
Mm.
and of moving forward, not backwards, not living in the past, accepting the terrible choice Joel made, and trying to move on and live their life as a family. And the night after, um, Joel meets Abby. Abby puts Joel in a corner, and Abby plays mini golf on Joel's head
She becomes
with a
Tiger
golf club.
Woods.
He becomes the Tiger Woods of Seattle on Joel's
Mm.
cranium, and
Plays
that
wild golf on his head. Yeah.
and Ellie's a witness.
Mm. She got the front row seats.
Yeah. So, should we explain the entire story, or should we just like? So that's the setup. So
That's the setup of it.
she
Okay,
witnesses her father's
well,
death.
okay, so I guess I should probably like say ask this first.
No,
Um, what did you think about them killing off Joel?
I think it happened a little too soon. I think it should have happened, at least minimum 5 hours, 6 hours in, because Last of Us One was released in 2013, 2012. Remastered came out in 2014 or so. The the remake came out 2022, 23.
Mm,
So there's been about a 8 year, 5 year gap between the first and second entry, which is a long time. And so when you get back into a game, or you start to get reacquainted with old friends, you need some time to rebuild the bond, and refresh those memories, and start to like the characters again, and find out what you liked in those characters originally. And so
mm,
he got killed off in my opinion, too quickly. But I also understand why they did it. It's not my preference, but I understand why, because this game isn't a Joel game. The Last of Us has never really been a game about Joel. Ellie is the star of these games. She is the lead. She's always been. And this game, Last of Us 2, is no exception. And so I understand why he needed to die, and he's he's the motivator between well, for her revenge. So I get it. Um, from a fan's perspective, I didn't like it, but from a storytelling or writing perspective, I get it.
Mm.
I understand. Um, yeah, it had to be done.
In my opinion, I I know Joe had to die for sure. He had to die. Like he kind of like fucked over the world. He had to like face some consequence. So I definitely went in thinking if he didn't die, because I didn't know about like any spoilers about the game. I didn't know he was actually gonna die, but I definitely going in thinking like he's probably gonna die by the end of it or some shit. Because of what he had done. But I feel like the way they went about it maybe was not the best. And I guess most of that my issue of that was basically like
Mhm.
um I guess it should have been more set up on it. Like the way it was killed just felt like mad random. I felt like it was way too early like
Yeah.
to show his death or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Um and like I guess there's just issues about like I guess pacing of where they put certain scenes for the game. Um like I feel like the game should have started with us playing Abby first, getting to know her, who she is or whatever. And then we know more about her, and you know who she was and who like like she was the daughter of the doctor that Joel killed, then show the kill after of her like killing him. So that way we knew like, oh, okay, I can see why she did this or whatever. So I guess that's my thing. I wasn't like others like that think that Joel didn't have to die, but I just wish they went different about it, I guess.
Of course he had to die. He ruined humanity's chance for redemption. Like he's got to
Mm,
pay the ultimate consequence. Like come on, be reasonable. You know.
mm.
And I think that's it's not my again like I agree with you. Like it's not my preference, but it had to be done one way or another. Because this game is really about Ellie and Abby and their parallels, choices they make. Because they find themselves in very much of the same situations, even though different locations, similar locations at times. They find themselves in very very similar locations. There's so many parallels throughout the entire game between the two. So just to quickly go over them. Pregnant women in danger. There's instant death of a friend. In her case, Manny. In Ellie's case, Jesse. Just death of a father. Trauma. There's just so many things. So many fucking things. There's comparisons between Abby and Joel, Ellie and Abby, Jesse, Tommy. There's just like so many parallels here, but Abby, it's I think it's so masterful the way Naughty Dog presents his character out of the blue, who
Mm.
kills the most one of the most beloved characters in all of gaming, and by the end of the game, you can even like you can sympathize for her. You even start to like her. You start to respect her decisions, and like you go from like hating this character to even like some people I'm sure loving this character.
Are you talking about Abby?
Abby. Yep.
By the end of it, you liked Abby?
Oh yeah. I like
Um,
Abby.
I I thought she could have been a bit written a bit better, but yeah, by the end of it, I definitely
But
liked the her
what,
backstory or whatever.
what makes you say that about the writing?
Uh, I Does it have to do more with Ellie, I guess. Um, no, I guess you know what? It doesn't have to do more with. I don't think maybe I don't hate Abby as much, but I guess the writing of what they did to Ellie is my issue, I guess.
Lay it on me, fatty.
Um, do you want to talk more about the story first, or do you want me to talk about like the whole thing?
Well, we already set up the synopsis of the intro and like I think that was the most important part going over this that part of the story so people can have some context and a refresher for people who just got off the game and like just thinking
Okay,
about it. So yeah, go ahead.
so I guess my issue is you know what I understand why Abby went for revenge. I get that.
Oh yeah, of course.
No, obviously, like you killed her dad, of course. You're fucking gonna kill her, like Joel. Like what the hell? Trying to save the world, and you out here killing your dad? Like yeah, it makes total sense.
Oh yeah.
Um, I hated. I guess my biggest part of like what I hated about the story was just I strongly disliked how um I strongly disliked that Abby, not Abby, after Ellie basically like killed so many of her friends. Well, okay, well, first of all, like she tried killing so much of her friends and then was spared. And, Abby beat the shit out of her.
Yeah.
And then after being spared, Abby wanted to go for Ellie wanted to go for Abby again, was spared again. And it's like, okay, now she's living a life with her family, with her baby. You know what? Everything's good now. And then it turned into you know what? No, I'm getting like PTSD or whatever. I can't go on. Like I need to go for it and I need to go kill her. Like I can't like let this just like happen. And then she decides to go again. And then after the game makes you go through all that, the whole thing. By the end of it, it turned into, you know what? I killed about 999 people through this entire adventure. I killed all of your friends, and now I'm here at the ending. I don't think I should kill 1,000 people. 999 people is fine. Like that's too much, but 1,000 I can't do that. That is probably like one of the issues I've had with the game, and it was like I don't know why we went through this entire adventure by the end of it. If you know what, like it was basically for nothing. Like I obviously get the whole like I was trying to represent that like revenge is not the answer to well, the revenge is not the answer. Like it just leads to more revenge or whatever. But it just felt confusing as to why she did it 3 times, and it was confusing as to like there's a certain point in the end when Tommy is telling Ellie like I need you to get like here's where Abby is right now, um, go out like when do you want to attack her, whatever, and she's like, I don't want to attack him, and then he's like questioning her like, wow, so you didn't like like you did, what happened to getting revenge? You're not gonna do it anymore? What happened? And it's like, what happened to Tommy before in the beginning of the game? Tommy was like, I'm not cool with revenge. I don't want us to like go attack like it's not safe. Like yeah, I get like it sucked that Joel died, but it's not this ain't the right way. And so like halfway into the game, he like wants to attack. Like I like now he's getting mad at Ellie, and it's like, what happened to you? Like your
he
motivation? Like what happened? Like why did
he
you change so fast?
he changed because he paid the price and he got nothing out of it. He lost an eye. His health is deteriorating faster than it would have otherwise. He's got a limp, and he lost his wife. He pretty much lost his status at the town, and he's like a fuck. He went from like a high ranking dude running an entire town in an apocalypse to essentially like a fucking grunt or like a worker, farm worker, because of revenge, and he didn't get the fucking kill. So he sacrificed everything. He put everything on the line for nothing. On top of that,
Did he lose his status? I don't remember
yeah,
like
because
them
he
saying like
he
he did
he
lose.
broke up. He broke up with his girl. His girl runs the city.
Like I remember, I know he left, but I don't remember him like them like
Like
losing his status on
I'm pretty sure he don't run things like he used to anymore. Especially him being
Hmm.
weaker and then leaving. Like I'm sure there's no way he's at the same rank. He
Hmm.
has to have been demoted, whether it be because of the divorce or because again like his physical limitations now, not being there physically,
Uh,
and
by
then
the
and
way,
then he
also
yeah, go ahead.
I my bad. I
No, no,
also
you good.
forgot to mention that I like one of my gripes with like I guess the game really is also like I don't understand why they're just able to like it's hard to like. like a lot. I guess the bigger issue in this game is I don't think they like show much about like either they really really force you to try and make you feel like oh my god, you should feel bad for doing that. Like and this is what this more so has to do with what I'm saying about like it has not good pacing issues, and the issue is more so that like um when you're Ellie and you're killing all of Abby's friends, the game then makes you play Abby, and then you interact with her friends or whatever. The game should have done first Abby first, yeah, and then you meet her friends or whatever, and then you play Ellie after, and then you're killing your friends, and it's like holy shit, this makes you feel bad. But them making you play Ellie, kill the people, and then play Abby, it's like you don't really get attached to like the characters or whatever, because it's like, I mean, it's already like fucking happened. Like I already had killed them. That
Hmm.
it should have been the other way around to make you get have much more of an impact. And also with the characters that do end up dying, I dislike that one of the characters, Jesse, Jesse was like a big part of like the game,
Hmm.
that's being there with you. The second he dies, and then her and Abby are fighting or whatever. After that, Jesse is like completely forgotten about it in the game.
And so
No one's mentioned a word. He
and
was the dad of
yep.
Diana or the
Hmm.
Diane. He was the dad of her. Never mentioned once after he's dead. And for Abby, Abby's a friend. I forgot what his name is. Some dude that has like a beanie or
Owen.
whatever.
Owen, right?
Owen, I think.
He's
Yeah.
like the
No, no, no,
comic
no, no,
relief.
not Owen, not Owen, not
Oh,
Owen,
Manny,
not Owen.
Manny, the Mexican.
I think it's Manny. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think
Manny.
you're talking about Manny. Yeah. So when her
Same
and
deal.
Manny are walking around, and Tommy's like shooting them down or whatever, and they're trying to chase down Tommy, and then Tommy blasted his fucking head off. Um, After he gets shot and killed, and she's panicking or whatever, and then she was able to escape or whatever. Manny never gets brought up again.
No.
Like that, no one. He's not brought up once after his death, and it's like a big issue with the game is that just like they try to make you like they introduce these characters and they try to either A to make you feel extremely bad for like what you did like for like Ellie's side, or B it makes you like like wow like this character was like a big part of like this character like part in the game that like the second they die it's like they didn't even really they didn't grieve, they didn't talk about, they don't mention the character once past the game. It's like what happened? Like, what happened to Jesse? What happened to like that to
Uptime.
Manny? They were
Alarm
never
clock
brought up
live
once
started
past
since 5 hours 10
that
minutes and
moment in the
10
game. So it
seconds,
was
2
just always
hours
weird to me that
49
like
meters
I don't
32s
know.
speech
I feel
balloon
like there's
1
like
message.
issues
Yes.
with the game where it's like um there's just deaths that happen and it's like they don't go back to it, which is like very awkward.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Same. You said it perfectly. Like Manny and Jesse, after they die, they basically never get brought up. I think
Jesse for sure.
Jesse.
That Jesse
It,
being the dad and then him
yeah.
like doing a lot of the like being in Ellie's like teammate or being like Ellie's friend like doing the most part of like the game and like them bonding or whatever. And then after he dies, never brought up once, never talked about. She
And
didn't even like think about it. There wasn't even like a tombstone or whatever. It's so weird that they didn't you know talk much about the character like post death.
and it's so weird because they're both of those guys are some of the better supporting characters in the game.
Yeah, for
Like better
sure.
than way better than Mel, way better than Mel. I like Owen a lot too, but I liked Manny and Jesse better than Owen as well. Better than all of Abby's friends essentially, and
Yeah.
most of like Ellie's friends as well. It's just a weird thing. Another narrative dissonance that Naughty Dog, for me, I think unintentionally did, is a scene where Ellie tells Dina that she is immune. Of course, Dina's like, ah, it's bullshit. You stop fucking around. Until the situation arises in which it's actually proven, and then it's never brought up again.
Yeah, yeah.
You
It was
think
like
that would
so
be a
fast.
conversation, right?
Yeah,
Never
yeah.
brought up again, ever.
They talked about it once. They didn't. Once they got into that theater, they didn't bring it up again. That's
Nope.
so weird.
Nope. Very weird. Um,
You'd think it'd be important that like, hey, you're immune to the infection, so you kind of like, you kind of like save the world because you're like, you're a rarity.
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not sure.
That's a definitely something that right off the bat I was waiting for another conversation and some kind of acknowledgement and it just never came. I was like, all right, that's
And yeah, like I said, my big issue for sure was just like, um, they placed certain parts of the game where I feel like they should have reversed it to give you more impact. I kind of felt like not interested into the game in the to when you got to the point of Abby, only just 'cause like I really felt like the game was trying to make you feel like it was trying to make you like interact with all of Abby's friends, and it's like it was really trying to like drive the hey, you should feel bad because you killed all these people. You should feel awful. Look at these people that Abby was friends with. Like how dare you kill them or whatever. And it was like you should have done this first, and then with the Ellie, like when I'm killing them, that's when I'll feel like, oh, okay, like I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like this is all like awful. This is definitely like bad for like this is like revenge is awful or whatever. Um, so yeah, that was my issue with it. I just felt like they it wasn't paced correctly, honestly.
I could definitely sense the pacing taking an issue after you
I
got a
saw
hold
I
of
saw this
Abby.
clip. I saw this clip
Uh oh.
of like PewDiePie that was like um
He
and
plays video games?
This is PewDiePie but when not it when he's like fucking talking like a stupid ass. When he's actually talking like a normal human being. Um he was like playing the game or whatever. Um I think I had seen it on TikTok where it was like he was playing the game, Joel died or whatever, and he's playing as Abby, and somebody in the Twitch chat puts, um, you're gonna be playing this for the next 8 hours as her, and he's like, wait, what? Yeah, like 8 hours? And then immediately he goes to like Last of Us 2 and he like closes the application because
Oh
he's
my
like,
god.
fuck this shit. Because it's like, first of all, it's making you play the game, the character that you hated because like fucking killed Joe or whatever. But it's also
Yeah.
like you're getting to like the good part of like playing Ellie, and then it like transitions to Abby, and you have to go through every single day of day one, day two, day three. Like it makes you go back in time to play reenact those days. That it's like, why? Like why do I have to go back to that? I definitely like was like super uninterested into the game. Like it was very hard for me to get into the game once I got to Abby. Like by the end of it, I started liking the character, like of what she was going through. But I just felt like there was just bad pacing issues with the game for sure.
Yeah, it's undeniable. I think you're absolutely right. And there's also the issue where I didn't feel this way, but I can sympathize with players who did. Is the issue where you're playing with Ellie for about 10 or so hours, maybe 15. You invest in all her skill trees, her weapons,
Yup, yep, I already know where you're
and
going with this.
then you play Abby and you starting from square one.
Yeah, you lost all your progress. You lost
So
the like
I could
gameplay
definitely
wise. Yeah.
sympathize with those players. I wasn't one of those players. I didn't really give a shit. I just wanted to see the gameplay differences. Which there are some, they're very minor. Essentially, Abby's more of a brawler.
Ellie's
Ellie's a
fucking broken.
Ellie's broken.
Ellie's
Abby.
broken. Ellie's broken in the sense that like I know certain people were talking about this that Ellie was really good just because like you didn't have to make shivs. You always had a knife, so like
Mm-hmm.
for like clickers, you never had to build shivs.
Yeah.
You could just walk up to them and stab them and then kill them instantly.
Yep.
But like it's as if you played Abby, you had to build the shit. You had to build shivs for clickers or whatever because she didn't have a knife with her.
Yep.
So there was definitely like gameplay differences in that, but where
Like,
for sure Ellie was
like
better.
Abby was better at close quarters combat, and then Ellie was basically better at everything else.
Hmm.
I thought Abby's sections were. I think the first couple hours were good up until the moment where you meet Lev and her sister, his sister,
Oh
and
my
that there's that
god.
section where you're going through a building, you're being chased by the cultist group, and then they're trying to open the door for you. They like accidentally lock you in. They're opening the door for you. That way, there must have been like a dozen or so infected, and there were so many that it was just such a fucking tough time to manage and and to like fight them off. At least for me, like that was probably the toughest part of the game for me.
Mm.
But I think her sections were pretty cool. Like like I mentioned earlier, the verticality of that dilapidated motel. Um, I think it was it the boat section. Was that Ellie? I don't remember. Getting a boat. That was probably Ellie. But
No, that was Ellie for sure. Yeah.
a lot of the Abby sections I really like too. It's just that thing is that the stealth thing that my playthrough was mostly stealth, so having to do like I had to do like a harder version of stealth because of Abby.
Mm.
But when it comes to Abby as her character, like everyone else, I fucking hated her. I was like, why is she so roided up? Like, what's up with her fucking
There's nothing wrong with the
cannons?
roided. I know you kept bringing
She
it up.
has cannons. Like, cannons. Holy shit. My point, I was thinking I had to start my entire head
By the
and my entire
way,
playthrough. Go ahead.
real quick, I should mention like I said, it's so stupid about like the whole revenge shit. Just 'cause like Ellie got her ass beat once, then wanted a rematch, got her ass beat twice, and then wanted a rematch, and it was still almost a fucking time. And this was Abby dehydrated,
Yeah.
lost all of her strings, tied up to start starving, and somehow it was a tie. You're telling me, Abby,
Yeah,
you
dude.
really went through all that? You wanted revenge, and you were struggling to kill her? Like, and this was like at her weakest? Like, no way.
Dude,
Imagine if Abby was still like buff. You would have got your fucking ass beat. Like what? Like why did you want revenge when you lost twice? You were gonna go for the third? You were gonna die. Like
it's
that's so weird.
there's a lot of things going on
It
in
made
that
me
instance.
dislike Ellie just because it was like, you're
Hmm.
so stupid.
I
How are you gonna lose twice and then still be like, no, 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 I need to get revenge? It's like, how? She spared you twice.
That's like the dude who got rejected 3 times by like the same woman. He's like, no, 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 I got this, bro. She likes me
Yeah, trust
actually.
me.
Trust me, she likes me, dude. She's hiding it. She doesn't know it yet.
It's so
That's
weird to me.
it's a lot of things going on. It's well, first and foremost, her connection to Joel. She wants to do right by him and get the revenge.
God, I don't know about you, but I hated how Ellie was such a brat to Joel. It was getting me angry about like how she was like mistreating Joel.
Yeah, because of
Like
everything we talked about, the lies and all that, it got to her. She was
there
upset with
was,
him.
but there was certain points that like God, like like he's trying. Like come on, like I get he like like I get the whole like what he didn't give you a choice or whatever. But like at the end of the day, he did it because he cared about you, not because like he wasn't like trying to fuck you over or whatever.
Right.
And one of my favorite lines by Joel was after he told Ellie about the whole like situation, he told her you know what, if my bad, but honestly, if I was put into that situation again of like
Mm.
saving you or letting you like die for the vaccine. I would do it all over again. Like that would not have
He
stopped me.
fucking
Like
doubled
even though you're mad at
down.
me, even though you're mad at me, I would still like pick you over the world. Like I
Damn.
thought that was such a good badass fucking line.
It was. There's a lot. There's a lot going on in that line. That's a badass
Mm.
line. It really was. That scene was probably one of my favorite scenes of the entire game.
Mm. That was so sick to me.
Yeah, I was fucking crazy. But back to the conversation, the motivation for Ellie and getting her motivation to get her ass whooped by cannons multiple times throughout a course of 3 days. Um, of course, Joel, Tommy, and the promise that he made to her and that she made to him, and the fact that Tommy, like I said, he sacrificed everything, put everything on the line to help her out until she had to do right by him as well. And then the fact that he returned at the end of the game, he kind of shamed her for not finishing the job. not wanting to continue. And